if you are taking diligent care of your skin and you are still not seeing the results you want, that glowy, healthy, radiant skin, chances are you are doing something in your routine or in your lifestyle to sabotage yourself. So these are the top 5 things you need to stop doing right now if you want to get that glowing, radiant skin. Hi there, I'm Dr. Ray. I'm a board certified dermatologist. I have been doing this for a long time, and there are some really common mistakes I see my patients making when they come to see me that is just sabotaging all the effort that they're putting in to their skincare, and I'm going to share those with you today so you don't make the same mistakes. The first one is over exfoliating. Now, there was a period of time a few years ago where we went through this exfoliation craze where everybody was like scrubbing their skin off and really trying to get that glowy skin by just like ripping off the dead skin cells, right? Thankfully, we're kind of past that. We went through a phase where it was all about gentle skincare and ceramides and hydration and all the things. But I definitely see a trend now that is kind of moving back toward that kind of exfoliation. Not so much a craze yet. Hopefully it won't get there. But I do see a lot of people that are over exfoliating in the sense that they are combining too many exfoliants. And oftentimes the reason for that is that they are seeing these different products or ingredients. For example, glycolic acid, mandelic acid, lactic acid, the PHAs, the fruit enzyme exfoliators, all the things. And so they might be using different products that actually have these ingredients in them. Sometimes I do have patients that are actually not even aware that their product that they're using has an exfoliating agent in it because it's not clear on the bottle. You have to really look at the ingredient list and the tiny description on the bottle to see that it actually is an exfoliating product. So I do see that a lot as well, also leading to this problem of over exfoliating. So how do you know if you're over exfoliating? There are a few symptoms, I would say. First is if your skin is what I call dehydrated, so it is actually kind of shiny, but also sort of kind of crepey and wrinkly and dry, if that makes sense, or it has patches that are shinier and patches that are just kind of dry and rough. That can be a result of over exfoliating, because what does over exfoliating do? It impairs your skin barrier. We hear a lot about this term these days, right? The skin barrier. And the skin barrier is there to keep good things in, like water, hydration, moisture, lipids, oils, those kinds of things. And the lipids in your skin actually help fortify that barrier so that it's keeping bad things out, like microbes and pathogens and irritants and things like that. But when your skin barrier is not quite as robust, it is letting moisture out and it is getting dehydrated. Another potential symptom is that you are, again, taking really good care of your skin. You are keeping your pores unclogged with the exfoliating, but you are still getting these random breakouts, and you're not really a breakout person. You usually don't have acne. You never had acne before. Now you're all of a sudden getting it. And by the way, you just started 3 new products last month. And if that's the case, it is very possible that you are over exfoliating, because another thing that over exfoliating does is it disrupts your natural skin microbiome. That is the normal bacteria and yeast, etc., that live on our skin, and they can be disturbed when that barrier is messed with. Okay, so that is another potential symptom. So what do you do if you may be over exfoliating? First of all, I wanted you to take a look at your products that you're using. Are you using, for example, a retinoid like retinol or retinaldehyde, something like that, plus any other exfoliating ingredients? Now, retinoids, remember, in a sense, they do exfoliate the skin, not in the same manner that traditional exfoliators do, but retinoids do get rid of that top layer of skin. So if you are using a retinol and you're using other exfoliating ingredients, you might have to look at the labels. First of all, you want to stop everything. Stop all the exfoliators, stop the retinol. Even if you're using something like a vitamin C, any other actives, I really would stop everything except a gentle cleanser, a nice hydrating milky cleanser, a moisturizer, and you might have to go with something that's a little bit heavier, and a mineral-based sunscreen. Mineral-based sunscreens are way less irritating, less potential for irritation than chemical sunscreens. And so a mineral sunscreen is really preferred in this situation. So you just want to stick with those 3 basic products for the time being. And that time being might be a week or maybe 2 weeks, basically until your skin feels normal. Again, it is back to its baseline. It is feeling good. It is not feeling rough and dry. It's not feeling sensitive. Maybe the breakouts have calmed down a little bit. That might take a little bit more time, by the way, because once breakouts happen, even if it's kind of a sudden thing, it can take a bit of time for them to calm down and your skin to kind of recover after that happens. So at least you want your skin to be not as dry, not as irritated, etc. And then you can kind of slowly maybe work back in one thing at a time. And I will tell you, I 100% would start with the retinoid, okay? Retinoids are going to be your best bet if you're looking for anti-aging and exfoliating. Those two things in one, the best studies, the most effective. Go with your retinoid first, optimize that first. That means that you are tolerating it every single day. And once you have that down, if you feel like you still needed a little bit exfoliating action, like your skin still feels a little rough or you still got a lot of clogged pores, etc., then you can work in very, very slowly a more gentle exfoliator. The gentler ones, the gentlest ones really are going to be the PHAs, the polyhydroxy acids. Maybe start with that a couple times a week, and then you can kind of work up from there. So that's the first mistake. It was a long one. The rest won't be as long, but I really wanted to get into that one because it is so common and it can really, really damage your skin. Okay, the second mistake I see very commonly is people changing up their routine way too frequently. So that means that they get a product, they use it for anywhere from a few weeks, and then if they don't see results after a few weeks, they switch to a different product, or they'll use up the whole bottle, but then they see this other thing. It's kind of like shiny object syndrome, right? You see this other shiny object that's somebody talked about online, some influencer or a dermatologist online talked about this product that's so amazing. It could be a retinoid, it could be a peptide, it could be something, vitamin C, whatever it is. And you want to try that one. So you just try that product, okay? And then you see another one, you try a different product. So this shiny object syndrome is really, really common. And of course it is, because what are we seeing online every single day? On our Instagram feed, on our Reddit feed, on our YouTube feed, on our TikTok feed, it is product recommendations. Creators everywhere, whether they are skin influencers, like beauty influencers or skincare influencers or dermatologists online too, are putting out these product recommendations, I think with good intent for the most part, right? But what that results in is us reaching for the next product and the next product and the next product, because we don't want to miss out on this amazing thing that this person talked about, right? So what that does is that it never really allows you to get the full benefit of a routine that is actually going to help you. So my recommendation is find a routine that has the core ingredients, the core products that you love, that work well for your skin, that work well together, that's important too, and that are made for your skin type. Find that routine, that core routine, and just stick with it. And you really should only be changing up your routine maybe when the weather changes and you might need to tweak something in your moisturizer or how you exfoliate, etc., or your retinoid, or if you're traveling and you can only take a few products with you, for example, or if you become pregnant or trying to get pregnant and you can't use certain ingredients like retinoids, for example. That is the only time you should really be changing up your routine to any significant degree. And if you do that, I promise you, you are going to see the results that you want, that glowing skin, that healthy skin, and you can actually just stick with it. And you don't have to even worry about all the influencers, etc., and the recommendations, and you're not going to be wasting all this money on these half-used bottles of serums and lotions and creams. And if you look at your bathroom counter or your drawer, and it is full of unused, unfinished products, think about how much money is sitting in that drawer, right? How much money could you have saved if you just found one thing and stuck with it? The third mistake I want to talk about is people hyper-focusing on skincare products like lotions, etc., serums, which of course are important, but then forgetting other things that affect our skin. And the major thing I want to talk about here, because I could get into a whole slew of lifestyle and holistic skin health habits that affect our skin that we're ignoring a lot of time, but the big one I want to talk about here is sleep, because sleep really is the foundation of health, and it is the foundation of skin health as well, because you could be using the best products, doing the best treatments, etc., but if you are getting less than 7 hours of sleep at night, or even if you're getting 7 hours but it's not good quality sleep, then you are not going to get the same effect, the same response in your skin as if you were getting good quality sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, okay? And this actually has been studied. I've talked about it in prior videos, but there was a study that was done on a group of women, and it was a sleep stress study. So they had these women sleep 5 hours a night for 3 nights in a row, just 3 nights, okay? And they measured things like their skin quality, the hydration, the fine lines. And they did find that after those 3 nights, those women had a statistically significant decrease in all of those qualities, just after 3 nights of poor sleep. So imagine if it's 3 nights, what chronic poor sleep does to your system. During sleep is when our skin does the most repair and regeneration, and that is when our collagen production is at its peak, particularly between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So that is really the time you want to prioritize good sleep. You really want to get to bed before 11 if you can. And if you are messing with that system, that cycle, you are definitely going to experience it in your skin quality. Your skin might be duller, it might actually be a bit drier, and you're probably going to see those signs of aging, those advanced signs of aging like wrinkles and sagging, etc., coming on sooner. Of course, you're not necessarily going to know it's from the bad sleep. Maybe you will if you're just a chronically poor sleeper. Then yes, you're going to see those signs coming on faster. So again, sleep is so important. And if you find that you are having trouble with sleep, whether it is just not getting enough of it, or you are maybe getting 7+ hours, but you're waking up not feeling rested most mornings, then that's indicating that your sleep quality is not great. So the two things that I want you to focus on first in terms of improving that sleep quality are limiting your caffeine. I'm so sorry. I feel okay. We love our caffeine, especially when we have not slept well, right? So it's kind of this vicious cycle. You don't sleep well, you're exhausted, maybe you get your morning cup of coffee, you feel great for all of 2 hours. The caffeine wears off. It's about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it is for you. And you need that extra hit of caffeine to just kind of get through the rest of the day, get through work, get through family time, kids, whatever it is. And you take another cup of coffee or an energy drink or whatever it is. So if that's the case, number one, completely normal, and I don't blame you. Number two, it is messing with your sleep. Even if you think you're not someone who's affected by caffeine, like, oh, I can just have a shot of espresso at 10 p.m. and I'm asleep by 11, maybe that's you, because some people do have that kind of genetic tendency to metabolize caffeine in a certain way. If that's you, you are probably still, maybe you can get to sleep, but your sleep quality is probably not going to be as good because the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that if you have a cup of coffee at 12 p.m., 6 hours later at 6 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in your system. 6 hours after that, a quarter of the caffeine is still in your system. So at midnight, you still have a quarter of that caffeine still in your system while you're trying to get to sleep. So even if you're not really feeling it, as you're sleeping, your body is feeling it and you are not going to wake up as well rested. So typically I recommend no coffee within at least 12 hours of bedtime. And maybe things like black tea, have a little bit less caffeine. Maybe you can get away with that a little bit, later in the day. But again, you just really want to be mindful of what you are taking in midday and later in terms of caffeine. The second thing I really want you to look at is, are you drinking alcohol, especially later in the day? Those afternoons when you are having, happy hour, etc., or a glass of wine before bed. Again, totally understandable. We all like to unwind, in different ways. But even if you are able to get to sleep right away, because alcohol is a depressant, it does help you get to sleep actually. But when you are sleeping, your sleep quality is affected. Alcohol does interfere with your sleep cycles, your REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. That's the time when you're dreaming, and also your deep sleep stages. It interferes with those cycles in such a way that you may be sleeping 7 hours, but the sleep is not restful. And when you drink alcohol, you do have during your sleep micro moments of like micro awakenings where you might not even remember it the next day, but your body, your mind is waking up briefly for a second or two and going back to sleep. And so you will notice that days after alcohol, you are just not feeling as rested. So that is another thing that you can really work on if you're trying to improve your sleep. Okay, the fourth mistake I see so commonly is having an inconsistent night routine. Usually this happens because at the end of the day before bed, we are just so tired. We don't want to take our makeup off. We don't want to wash our face. And then we have to put on our skincare. And who wants to do that when you're just so exhausted? You can barely even brush your teeth or floss. You just want to hop into bed, right? 100% been there, done that. Okay. Here's what I recommend for you. Number one, why is that a problem? Because you can imagine if you're not washing your face and putting on your skincare, you are not getting the benefits of your products. And the key really is consistency when it comes to your products. So you really want to be using them most days of the week. I would say 90% of the time you want to be using your skincare products. You miss a day or two here and there, not a big deal. But if you're consistently 3 or 4 days a week not washing your face, not putting on your skincare at night, that is going to affect your results, okay? So what I would recommend, the biggest tip I have for you, Do your skincare earlier. It is such a game changer. I started doing this a year or two ago. I can't remember when, but since then I have been so much more consistent with my skincare. I'm a mother of 2 young children. I'm a working mother. I have a business. I am very, very busy. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted. Okay. So do I do my skincare right before bed? Absolutely not. So what I do now is as soon as the kids are in bed, usually about 7:30 in the evening, I head straight to the bathroom. I wash my face. I put on my skincare, and my skincare routine, guys, I've said this before, it's only like 3 minutes, but again, it's kind of a mental hurdle at night. Even that 3 minutes sounds like, no way, I don't even want to do that. So 7:30 p.m., I'm totally up for it. I wash my face, I put on my skincare. By the way, added benefit, those products have more time on my skin to do their thing, my retinoid, my peptide, etc. And also they don't rub off on my pillow as easily because I'm not putting them on right before I hop into bed and kind of smearing them all over my pillow, right? Even though I try to sleep on my back as much as possible. But yeah, sometimes I do sleep on my side. So again, I don't want to get that stuff on my pillow. I want it working on my skin. So do your skincare earlier in the day, earlier in the evening. For you, that might be like when you get home from work, or again, when you put the kids to bed, or after dinner, something like that. Okay, so pick a time that works for you and do that. And it might be different on different days, but most of the days you should be able to do your skincare. Okay, the last very, very important mistake that I see, I talked about this in my last video on sunscreen, is not reapplying your sunscreen. Sun is the #1 environmental factor that is going to affect your skin quality. It's going to accelerate the signs of aging. It's going to increase your dark spots, your wrinkles, your sagging, all the things that you probably don't want to see. So if you are putting your sunscreen on diligently every single morning, kudos to you. That is a great first step. However, I see majority of people that I see in clinic are actually not reapplying their sunscreen later in the day. A lot of times it's because they're inside most of the day, whether it's at home, working from home, or in the office, or whatever it is. And that's fine. You actually don't need to reapply when you're inside. Okay. However, when you're leaving from work, let's say it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and if the sun is still out and it's not basically sunset time, and you have a commute home from work, whether it's like 20 minutes or more, if it's 10, 15 minutes, it's probably fine. 20, 30 minutes, you really do want to reapply your sunscreen, especially if the sun is really still out. For example, here I live in Southern California. It is the end of summertime now, and the sun sets around 7:30 or so. So when I leave work at 5 o'clock, the sun is really quite bright still. And if I'm not reapplying my sunscreen, I'm getting that UV rays through my window, through my windshield, getting right on my face and my neck. Okay, so I do not want that happening. So I'm reapplying my sunscreen as I get in my car. So reapply. And again, of course, if you are at the beach or at a theme park or a sports game or whatever it is where you are outside for several hours, think of the sunscreen as lasting 2 hours. And every 2 hours when you are outside, or if you're going in and then going back out after 2 hours, reapply, and you're going to see such over the long term, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term, you are doing your skin such a favor, and you're going to thank yourself, trust me, in 5, 10, 15 years from now. Okay, so that wraps up the top 5 mistakes. Tell me, which one are you making? If so, again, it is so common. I would not feel bad about it. But now that you know better, you can do better and do better for your skin. And hopefully it results in skin that you love. Okay, so if you have any questions, drop in the comments. If you like this video, please like. If you're not subscribing, please do. And that is it for now. I hope you have a wonderful day.